We're going to continue our conversation about our girls being violated, sexually assaulted, and then pictures, sometimes video, posted online for the whole world to see. Slut shaming is what it's called. And our girls are actually killing themselves because of it. And moms like Leah Parsons have to find out about this gut-wrenching trend like this.
I didn't even knock on the door. I just picked it open and could feel the weight of her body on the door. I didn't think anything. I just opened the door and said, "Rtea," and I had to cut her down. She was hung. She was hanging.
Now because of this mom and media pressure, police in Canada have finally reopened their investigation into the death of her daughter, 17-year-old Rtea Parsons. It's been 17 months since Rtea was allegedly assaulted, and no one has been charged with anything. And what's frustrating is that it's not unusual for long delays before legal action in these cases are taken. Just take a look at Steubenville, Ohio, where 2 football players were convicted just last month of rape, and the rape happened in August, 8 months ago. One of the boys was also convicted of child porn. And this just in, the state attorney general's office has just picked a grand jury looking at other people in the Steubenville community. Also joining Jen and Mara and me, legal analyst Lisa Bloom from New York. So, Lisa, shouldn't people who have shared these pictures or at least knew that they existed also be held accountable for child porn?
I think so, absolutely. If you have naked pictures of children under the age of 18 on your phone and you're distributing them or even receiving them, you are potentially criminally responsible under American law. That is child pornography. And I think you're right. This is also a huge parenting issue. I write about this in my book, Swagger. We all have to be aware of what our kids are doing online. I advocate that we have the username and password to every site that our kids go on, whether it's Facebook or anything else, and go on there and see what's happening, because words are so powerful for our kids. They can even lead to suicide, as we're seeing in this very tragic case.
But it's a gray area legally, though, right? Because you have to have specific verbiage in the law to actually hold a teen accountable for exchanging these pictures via devices and putting them online, right? Because Arizona is putting specific language in their law, whereas other states, it's kind of vague. This seems to be a big legal discussion among attorneys now.
Well, the law does vary from state to state, but in general, if you have sexually provocative and naked pictures of people under the age of 18, that is possession of child pornography. Federal law is very strict on the subject. I mean, there are people who say, you know, this thing was emailed to me. I didn't really know. I took a quick look at it. I didn't realize it was still in my phone, who are serving time in prison as a result of it. So, I mean, this is very serious stuff.
So we're just going to make sure, Lisa, it's Jennifer, what exactly it is. The definition you were just talking about, child pornography is showing. It's the visual representation of anyone under 18 in sexual activity, lewd or erotic behavior in a way that's meant for the viewer to be turned on. But, of course, the problem we have with why is it taking so long to prosecute it is so often the people who have the photos are also under 18, which makes them children in the eyes of the law, too.
Well, that's right. And I think there should be a different standard for juveniles who may not be aware of the law, who, you know, maybe it's a picture of their girlfriend and they're all 16 years old. I mean, I think that's a very different situation than a 40-year-old man who's trafficking in child pornography. But I want to emphasize to parents that there are kids out there. I mean, I've gotten a lot of calls as an attorney to represent some of them who, you know, seemingly innocently have taken pictures of themselves topless, for example, and sent it to the boyfriend. And there are real criminal responsibility, criminal liability for that. And apart from the criminal, I mean, there's also the terrible repercussions, especially for the girls, as you talk about with the slut shaming. It's hard to believe it's the 21st century, and girls are so devastated by these photos out there circulating around that they kill themselves. I mean, you know, that's a huge parenting issue.
So what's it going to take to stop something like this? I mean, how far do we have to go beyond this suicide, beyond all these cases? What is it going to take? What kind of precedent do we need for this?
Well, if that's A question for me again. I mean, I think this starts with parents. We can't look to the criminal law because the criminal law is reactive. The criminal law comes in after somebody has been sexually assaulted, after these photos have circulated to thousands of people or been posted on Facebook. We as parents have to realize we live in a new world. It is completely different than when we were growing up. You know, some of us might have flashed somebody out of a car window for a second. There was no photograph of that, thank God, that got circulated around. And as a result, we weren't really humiliated the next day by the whole world seeing some stupid thing that we did as a kid. We as parents have to get in there, as I advocate in my book, and look at all of the online activity that our kids are involved in. Your kids will protest. Your kids will say, oh, it's a violation of my right of privacy. Well, guess what? When you're under the age of 18 and my house, you have no right of privacy. I want to know what's going on, and I need to know what's going on in order to protect my kids. I need to know if my child is being bullied or if my child is a bully. I need to know if there's naked pictures of my kid out there so I, as a parent, can be proactive and get in there before something terrible happens.